In today's notes, we'll take a look at the U.S.'s involvement in World War II through some of the major events and battles of the war. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor and FDR's declaration of war against Japan, FDR met with the Prime Minister of England, Winston Churchill. The two met to discuss plans for the war. They agreed to focus attention on Germany first, believing that Germany was the greater foe and the bigger threat. Once the Allies had gained a stronger footing in Europe, then the U.S. would focus more attention on Japan. Some of the major events that took place in World War II in Europe included the Battle of Stalingrad. The Germans had pressed forward into Russia and had reached the city of Stalingrad in southern Russia. Stalingrad was a major industrial center. It also provided access to valuable resources like oil. The Russians were able to defeat the Germans largely with the help of an especially rough Russian winter. At that point, the Germans were forced back from Russia, and it was a turning point in the eastern front of the war, the front between Germany and the Soviet Union. The US and Britain decided to focus their attention first on North Africa. The Italians and Germans had control of North Africa. It was an important access to resources for them as well. The Allies were able to defeat the Germans in North Africa and defeat their very capable leader, Erwin Rommel, who had earned the nickname the Desert Fox because he was such an adept leader in the Sahara and in North Africa. The US and Britain then focused their attention on Italy. They believed that an invasion of Italy would be easier than invading through France or across the English Channel from Great Britain. Through several years of fighting, the Allies were able to gain control in Italy. The Italians forced Benito Mussolini to resign, and the key battle in Italy was the Battle of Anzio, which took place only about 40 miles from Rome. The battle lasted nearly 4 months, and during those 4 months, 25,000 Allied casualties and 30,000 Axis casualties, or German and Italian casualties, took place. The plan for defeating Germany then turned to the western part of Europe with an invasion of France. D-Day invasion, nicknamed Operation Overlord, took place on June 6, 1944. It was the largest land, air, and sea invasion in military history. Paratroopers dropped in behind German lines the night before the attack, and on the morning of June 6th, wave after wave of Allied troops reached the beaches of Normandy in northern France. The battle lasted for about 8 days, and at the end of 8 days, the Allies had gained control of the beaches. By September of 1944, the Allies had reached Paris, had liberated Paris and France as a whole. The Battle of the Bulge was another major turning point in the war. The Allies had pushed just into Germany. They had captured their first German city, and Hitler responded with one last offensive. He believed that he could demoralize the Allied troops with one big offensive attack. This led to what's known as the Battle of the Bulge, because German troops pushed forward through Allied lines and created a bulge in those lines. It was an especially bloody and gruesome battle through the winter of 1944 and into 1945 that ultimately ended in an Allied victory. Around this time, we also see the beginning of the liberation of concentration camps. First by the Soviets, they liberated the Majdanek concentration camp in Poland, and later by Allied troops, who were able to liberate concentration camps like Dachau in southern Germany. By the spring of 1945, things were looking pretty bleak for Germany. On April 29th, Adolf Hitler married his longtime partner Eva Braun, and on April 30th, the two committed suicide. Hitler shot himself, and Eva Braun took poison. On May 8th, 1945, the Allies accepted the official surrender of the German military, ending the war in Europe. Before the war had officially ended in Europe, the U.S. had began focusing more attention on the Japanese and the battle in the Pacific. The strategy in the Pacific became known as island hopping. There were many islands in the Pacific, and it didn't make sense to try to take control of all of them. So instead, the U.S. focused on gaining strategic islands. Strategic islands included ones that had airstrips. By gaining control of an island with an airstrip, it provided the U.S. with a base to launch aerial attacks on future islands as they moved closer to Japan. One of the more famous tactics that the Japanese used were the kamikaze attacks, a term that in Japanese means divine wind and refers to a storm that had helped protect the Japanese from an invasion by the Mongolians in the 1200s. The kamikaze attacks didn't begin being used until near the end of the war. It wasn't until October of 1944 at the Battle of Leyte Gulf where the Japanese first used kamikaze attacks, where they would fly planes into U.S. ships, sacrificing the planes and the pilots in order to destroy or disable U.S. ships. In late 1945, before the end of the war in Europe and before victory in the Pacific, President Roosevelt passed away. On April 12th of 1945, FDR died of a stroke. With FDR's death, Vice President Harry S. Truman became president. Upon becoming president, Truman gained some new news. He found out about a project that had been underway for some time that Roosevelt was aware of and that had approved, the Manhattan Project, which was a project to create an atomic bomb. A bomb that some believed would end all wars because it would be so massive. Truman was faced with a difficult decision of whether or not to use such a powerful weapon. His reasons for potentially using the bomb were to shorten the war. Certainly a huge bomb or bombs, like the atomic bombs, would encourage the Japanese to surrender. By doing so, he and the U.S. could save the lives of countless U.S. soldiers, and with the Japanese surrender, there would be no invasion of the Japanese islands necessary. This was especially important because it was believed that the Japanese would fight till the very, very end and that they would not surrender. So the use of a weapon as a tool to gain the surrender of the Japanese was definitely enticing. So in July of 1945, Truman ordered plans be made for the use of 2 atomic bombs on Japan. The first of the bombs was dropped on Hiroshima on August 6th of 1945. It was flown by the plane, the Enola Gay, which can be seen on the right, and the bomb was named Little Boy. 3 days later, since the Japanese had not yet surrendered, a second bomb was dropped on the Japanese city of Nagasaki. This bomb was nicknamed Fat Man. Between the 2 bombings, approximately 200,000 Japanese died. Many more would suffer from illnesses and diseases as a result of the atomic weapons. After some negotiating, on September 2nd, 1945, the Japanese officially surrendered aboard the U.S. battleship Missouri inside Tokyo Bay. This became VJ Day, or Victory in Japan Day.